When watching the best boxers in the world, you'll notice they don't just defend with a simple slip or parry. They combine their defenses together. Was that cool or just not cool? So in this video, I'm going to give you 7 different techniques of how to combine defenses together. And then I'm going to give you an in-depth breakdown of each. The first one is combining a slip with a step to the side. So as I take my front foot, I'm going to slip to my lead side. So as that front foot lands, I'm here in this slip position where my head's just over my knee. And then I just bring this back foot in to realign my stance. I can do it going both ways. If we're stepping to the side, then we always open up our stance before closing it. So that means I'm going to take my back foot first if I slip to my right. So go there and then bring this foot over. So going to the lead side, going to the rear side. This is great for taking your head off the center line and then taking a different angle. You can also combine that with a pivot. So I could slip with the front foot moving to here, and then I can push off with my back foot and just do a 90-degree pivot from this position. Now I'm here. Or you could also step pivot by taking your front foot to the right whilst you slip and then pushing off this back foot, taking another 90-degree there. So we've got step and slip both ways, or we've got slip, step, pivot. The second combination of defenses is a dip with a pivot, or going the other way. So start by going to the right first. So as we dip down, this is where we want to be pushing off. So we kind of want to hinge at the hips slightly so we don't come off balance. So you can imagine if I did this here, it'd be super hard for me to push with my back foot. Whereas if I lean forward slightly, then I can counteract my weight coming forward by pushing off here and then doing my pivot. So as we dip, slightly hinge at the hips and then push with that foot. Or going the other way, dip and push. Here we don't need to hinge at the hips because we want our weight to be more that way. So you can just bend down and just push off. It helps to bring your weight slightly forward because obviously if your weight's quite far back, then it's going to be hard to pivot. So bring your weight slightly forward, hinge at the hips, dip down, and then come round. This is great for taking an angle whilst you're going under a punch. So let's say my opponent's throwing a jab at me, I can dip under and pivot, and then I can counter. Now I'm at a new angle. Or going the other way, if they were throwing an overhand right or something, I can dip over and I'm over here to counter again. So combining the dip with a pivot. This next one is a variation of a roll. So we've got the generic roll where we use our hips to rotate our body as we dip our knees and sort of create this circular shape with our nose. But another variation of a roll is using our feet and just dipping at the same time. So I can step to the side whilst I dip and I create that U shape again. So it's a variation of a roll. I don't have to rotate my hips to do this. I just dip down. As I get to the bottom of the dip, my first foot wants to be landing. So if I'm going to the right, my first foot would be my right foot. As I get to the bottom of the dip, that's where my foot lands. And then as I come back up, my lead foot comes here. Same going the other way. That foot lands and then coming up. The next combination of defenses is the slip with a half step or a drop step. So if you're not familiar with those, that's moving one foot at a time to either come into range or out of range or to lead side or rear side. And we can combine that with a slip. So imagine I'm coming forwards with my front foot. I can slip this way or I can slip that way. I'm going backwards. Again, I can slip either way, taking my head off the center line, or if I'm slipping to the side, like we did on the slip step pivot, I'm just taking one foot. This is great if we want to throw interception counters. So if I move one foot at a time, That's changing the distance. If I take my head off the centre line as I do this, that means I'll be able to get in or out of range whilst I throw a punch. So let's say my opponent's throwing a jab and I take my front foot in as I slip this way. Their jab's gone over there. I could throw an overhand right as I do that to counter them, to intercept their punch as they throw theirs. So this is great for intercepting. Or we could go, for example, going to the sides. I could step my back foot out that way as I throw a lead hook, as they throw a jab, so my head's off the centre line, and I come over with a lead hook, or vice versa, going this way. You've all probably seen that feint and counter that everyone does, where they feint the jab and then they wait for a parry or a catch, and then they throw the left hook round the side after they've moved their hand out of the way or moved their hand in front. A great way to not be on the receiving end of that is to combine your catch with a lean back. So let's imagine I feint the jab and you go to catch it. Your head will still be in range if I feint the jab and throw a left hook because you've moved your hand there. But if you combine that catch with a lean back, and not only is my head out of range for the left hook, but I've also caught the potential jab that might be coming my way. So the next one's combining the catch with a lean back or a pull. So all I'm doing, leaning back here, just at the waist. Could take my back foot with me if I wanted to. It's more of a layback. And as I do that, I'm just catching. Making sure if I am going to catch that I'm super safe for those left hooks that they might have feinted the jab with. Before we get into the last one, which is one of my favourites, just watching these videos isn't going to make you better at boxing. You need to apply the knowledge that you've learned, and you can apply it with my help. Check out the link in the description to my elite boxing community. You get video feedback from me every week. You get 2 calls with me every week. You get a roadmap from beginner to elite boxer with drills, workouts, lessons, and you get a really active, lively community who everyone in there is really trying to get better. So make sure you join if you want. You don't have to. And finally, the 7th way of combining defenses together is combining the slip and the pivot. Slipping, and then from this position here, pushing off with your back foot and pivoting. You can do this both ways. Take my head off the centre line here. I'm going to lean forward slightly so I can push off with this back foot and come round. I see people do this all the time to defend against straight shots. Let's imagine someone of the same stance is throwing a cross at me. I can slip and get out over here, ready to counter them nice and quickly. Same with this one. If I'm slipping a jab, I'm over here. You can sort of use your head as a sort of anchor point, sort of leverage your body weight round. So I'm bringing my head here, and then my body's like moving about where my head is. Makes it a little bit easier. Maybe leaning forward slightly. It's going to help you. All right, we're done. If you like how I teach, and make sure you join the community. The link's in the description. Hopefully I'll see you there. And you'll actually get a lot better instead of just watching YouTube videos. Because that's a waste of time. You can't just learn the information, you've got to apply it. And then you get the skills from it.